planet Xerliak was covered in snow from hemisphere to hemisphere. Many millennia ago, it had been like any other planet, but humans had settled here, and finding that the polar regions produced rare and valuable produce, built a containment system for the planet, locking all of its lands in eternal winter. The process had been successful, and the Everfrost produced the most abundant crops, though the extreme weather made the planet almost entirely uninhabitable, aside from the harvest plants across its continents. On one such continent, the snowfall was gentle and beautiful. As the sky glowed a chilling blue, partially from the blue giant it orbited around, and partially from the tint of the dome over the planet, Kirsteline walked out into the snowfall, staring up, hoping the sun glare wouldn't block out the starlight. She was lucky, and a glorious view of the cosmos shimmered above her. The moment of meditative reflection was disturbed quite suddenly by the sound of tremors rippling through the ground. Kirsteline panicked for several reasons. Firstly, she was near a precarious snowdrift that could come undone. Secondly, she had to check the equipment indoors to make sure nothing broke. Thirdly, there had been no tremors on Xerliak for 2100 years. The tremor weakened, but persisted. In the TARDIS, the Doctor was busying himself with readouts. Todar was distracting himself with staring at a book, barely aware it contained pages, let alone words on those pages. It was merely a prop for him to hold, where he dived into the recesses of his mind, contemplating many pieces of his recent and distant past. Doctor, do you think we could ever find Somna? Funnily enough, I was thinking of precisely that just now. There's been multiple instances of the TARDIS being interfered with. Our 3-day delay to reach the Avant was because of blockages in the vortex. My separation from you for 3 weeks was also due to some interferences that seemed decidedly manufactured. I can't be certain of anything yet, but I have a feeling the Time Lords may be involved. Your people? The ones who kidnapped my brother in the first place? One and the same. As I said back then, their thoroughness with erasing your brother from the timeline was so extreme that he must be someone very valuable and important. If they learned that his brother was now freely roaming across time and space, they might find cause to intercede. So, what do we do? Oh, for the moment, keep our distance. There's no reason to jump into a fray unprepared. Todar nodded and turned back to his book, focusing on a hair that stuck out from between 2 pages instead of reading. I wonder what Argent and Colton are doing right now. Well, having more fun than I am, that's for certain. I think I figured out a way to scramble the TARDIS's signal so she's harder to track. Let's go ahead and do a test landing to make sure everything's fine. Todar dropped the book and got next to the Doctor at the console, getting involved once again in the landing process, though he left the bulk of the controls to the Doctor, including the grand finale of the large switch flip. The TARDIS groaned out her usual symphony until indicating a safe landing. We appear to be on Xerliak, farming planet in eternal winter. I know the frost fruit they farm here, but I've never visited. Well, seems as good a time as any. Todar, take this pill. The Doctor produced 2 small red pills from his coat pocket, popping one into his mouth and handing the other to Todar. Todar took time to examine it before deciding it was safe to swallow. So, what's this? Heating pill. The entire planet is sub-zero temperature at all times to ensure ideal crop production. We could bundle up, but this would be much more effective at regulating our temperatures. Well, I definitely trust you, but I'm still running to the TARDIS closet really quick. Please yourself. I may change my cat. live on the edge, as they say. The dance of the snow was obtrusively heavy, blinding their vision. The doctor shielded his eyes to see a little more clearly into the flurries. Something red and illuminated was in the near distance, so the doctor motioned to Todar, and they went forward. Arriving at the source of the glow rose more questions than answers. What is that, Doctor? It looks like a giant crack through the planet. Well, that's good, because that's precisely what it is. Phenomenal. This planet is boiling on its inside. The fumes are exceptionally powerful. Don't get too close. How did it happen? Earthquake? But this planet is known for its stability. They've had lower rates of seismic activity than any other inhabited planet known. Planets change, I guess. Yes, look. Snow's clearing. I can see a harvest plant up ahead. There'll be humans there. Yeah, I don't feel the cold, but the wind is still stinging. They pushed on through the blustering snow toward the light the doctor had indicated. He was correct, and they pushed open the snow-clogged doors to retreat inside. Exacerbated by the heat pills, the sudden shift in temperature was staggering, and they paused at the door to recover. Excuse me, who are you? You're not one of the usuals. We're both decidedly unusual, I think you'll find. Speak for yourself, Doctor. Oh, I was. We just found ourselves on this planet and were trying to find other people. There's been some very unusual seismic activity here. Yes, there has been. But what do you mean by found yourself on the planet? People don't land here accidentally. It's physically impossible. Seismic activity is impossible here as well, and yet the snow is being pierced by fractures. I think you can broaden your scope of belief. Do you have any idea what's causing the quakes? Funnily enough, I've discovered something after running a few scans. Our planet's core is heating up. It's not a huge number, and could just be natural fluctuation, but something must be going on. Intriguing. Can you show me these scans? Follow me. She led them through a passage to a room cluttered with computer banks. Todar pretended to be distracted, but used his time to examine things lying around the room, while Kirsaline and the doctor discussed the scans. At first, he didn't find anything of particular interest. A family photo, a few loose documents, and some empty containers that looked as though they once held food items. He continued to idly roam the room, listening in discreetly. As you can see, compared to older scans, there's definitely an increase in core temperatures. I don't believe this is a fluctuation. Open older scans and you'll see that while there's some variance, there's also an overall regular increase. Something is burning this planet from the inside. What could do that? I don't know. The sound of a tremor echoed around them suddenly. The room began shaking, and each person instinctively reached out to grab something to balance themselves. Todar was the first to notice. Doctor, one of those fissures is coming out of the floor here. This can't be possible. We have meter deep foundations in each harvest facility. Haven't we talked about impossibilities? This could be a targeted attack. The tremor settled, and with the return of stability, they all converged around the fissure. Like the one outside, the tear in the floor glowed red and seemed incredibly deep. Unlike the fissure outside, this one flickered and sputtered in a way that indicated movement. The three cautiously leaned over it, hoping to see deeper into its depths. They stumbled back as three objects, rounded and scaled, ejected themselves from the fissure, rolling lazily on the ground nearby. What are those? They look like eggs? Almost perfectly on cue, all three of the egg-shaped objects opened, revealing themselves to be insectoid creatures. With great speed and force, they leapt at the faces of their observers, clinging tightly to them, and for each of them, their world went black. The doctor and Kirsaline woke first, startled by something neither of them experienced. Muffled screaming from Todar. They arose from where they fell and observed him, writhing on the floor, clawing at the beetle still attached to his face. creature eventually detached and chirped wildly while staring at Todar. All three beasts retreated back into the fissure.
Doctor, what just happened?
I'm not sure. They latched onto us, didn't bite or attack, and then just left.
No, Doctor, that's not what happened. Did you experience that?
I had no experience from the creature. Kisseline, did you?
Other than being terrified that it was going to kill me? No! Didn't you guys go through any of that? It went into my mind. It was opening memories. It was searching me.
The doctor and Kisseline stared at each other with confusion and worry. What did it open?
Somna and I had been experimenting. I can't remember on what, but we were doing something risky. Doctor, I never had a scientific thought in my life. Why do I have this memory? Where did it come from?
It could be a trick. Some manipulation by the creature. I don't think so.
Where'd they go? Back to the crack. What were they? This planet has no life.
No known life. There's entire cultures of life buried beneath the soil of planets, down to the hydrothermal vents. Your people were thorough with this planet, but it's easily conceivable they'd failed to eliminate all life. And perhaps whatever's affecting the planet's core is pushing them to the surface.
We should leave this room. I hate to say it, but I agree with her. I don't want to experience that again.
Very well. Let me just collect a quick sample. The doctor took out a handkerchief and wrapped it around a piece of rock from the fissure, pocketing it before following his companions to the door, staring off into the darkened room before shutting its door. They made their way through the halls of the harvest plant, reaching a communications hub, which Kisseline began programming as soon as she entered the room. Todar and the doctor stood in a far corner, exchanging their own words. May I enter your mind again? I know you've just been through something, but I've seen your past, and being able to see what's been added to it may help me understand.
Go ahead, Doctor. I'm scared of this. Whatever it is.
The doctor touched Todar's temples as he had done when they first met, and Todar once again felt the sensation of being opened and read like a book. All were wrapped in a sea of white noise. He opened his eyes as he felt the doctor's hand leave his side, and a wave of calm rippled through him, a sort of post-hypnotic aftercare. There are indeed more memories of your life with Somna. They're fragments and blurry. Hard to read, but something new is there.
What does this mean?
Our little friends obviously have some exceptional psychic powers.
Reports are coming in. Other harvest plants are reporting localized tremors, fissures, and...
She paused, staring in disbelief at the scrolling readouts.
And more of the eggs. Same story. Rolled out of the fissures, opened, attacked people, and then just went away. There were deaths in the defense camp, but only because the guards there got trigger happy.
What are they taking from you? Todar's experience tells us they're obviously probing minds when they latch on, but what's their reasoning?
Saturnine.
What? Why did you say that?
It's a word. It describes people who are gloomy and slow, moody, mysterious. I knew that word ages ago when I was studying ancient Earth literature. I haven't thought of it in at least a decade. But right now it's screaming in my mind. There's other words too. Lassitude. Weariness. Having no enthusiasm.
Quiddle. Trivial matters. It's a word I thought of quite a lot in my youth. Attending the academy, working in the archives. Time Lord life. All bureaucracy and order and expectations. It
drove me to escape. I stole a TARDIS. I ran from my planet. I haven't thought of that word since. I have never needed to with my life.
So we're all remembering random words. Why?
Maybe they weren't reading our minds. Maybe they were learning. Learning what?
Once again, almost on cue, the ground began shaking again. More prepared than before, they were quicker to ground themselves against the tremors. These felt different though, far more aggressive. Todar's eyes darted around the room, and he focused on the cracks forming across the floor. The tiles began to pucker and shift, filling the air with the sound of ceramic shattering.
Something's coming, Doctor.
The ground burst open. A flood of the small creatures emerged from the crack, 3 of them making beelines for their new captors. Todar recognized the pensive, inquisitive nature of the chittering little beast that sat on his lap. He tried not to panic, though. The memory of his previous experience was fresh and screaming in his mind. The tremors continued, even when the creatures stopped. The doctor wondered if perhaps these recent tremors had already reached a critical level, but then further disturbances to the ground dissuaded him of that. The ground cracked and fumed, glowing brilliant red, as a waft of heat emanated from within its depths. And then, they were all showered in debris, as a deafening explosion ripped open the ground. Todar lowered his hands from his eyes slowly, followed by the doctor and Kisseline. They were all awestruck in sequence as they saw what now stood before them. A tall insectoid creature, much larger than the small pupae that first arrived. The 3 little ones left their captors and climbed up the larger one's body. One by one, they latched onto its face, much as they had done before, and one by one they fell off, rolling back into their egg form.
Hello, humans. I'm Time Lord. I am Kislis Kirka. My children have scoured the planet's crust for ideal candidates. Your people who speak 3 different languages, who are the best candidates. We require your ears for our plight.
I'm always here to help. What has brought you to the surface? I could tell your species is very suited to the heavy gravity and darkness subsurface life makes standard. What pushed you to the surface again?
We moved under the surface many rotations ago, when the blue star shined cobalt in the purple sky. Humans found the planet, and what has changed it? They found a crop and developed a way to make the entire planet capable of sustaining only that crop. We were driven out. Because we couldn't leave, we were retreated into the core lands, weaving tunnels through granite and marble, through overline and schist. We lived happily for 3 millennia, unseen and unheard beneath the feet of our new overlords. But something is changing. The planet is heating up. Our tunnels move higher and higher. We need to find a new safety. We need to return to the surface.
We never spoke about the species of the planet. I didn't even learn about what was here before the Everfrost. Do you even know how the Everfrost was created all that time ago? To change an entire planet's atmosphere and environment to be specifically one way is an enormous undertaking. I'm beginning to wonder. It's usually considered forbidden knowledge. The archives in the central station may have information. Only elected officials are allowed access to them. Elected officials and people with a TARDIS. Kisseline, could you show Mom, if it's all the same to you, could I shorten your name?
Very well. I like Tislisk.
Really quite charming. Anyway, Kisseline, show her the coordinates to reach the archives, then follow me and Todar to our ship. Come along, Todar.
Todar stood up, feeling the soft pinch of his little pupa friend still attached to him, chittering quietly.
You stay here with your mother.
He has great concern for you. I sent my children to learn the languages of this planet so we could communicate with you. While he was learning your language, he found curious things. He told me about you. What an exceptional life you've lived.
I feel like it only just started getting exceptional. It wasn't before. I don't know what he saw.
Secrarian saw the gaps in your life and peered into them. But he is only a fresh child of the Xyrillian people. He does not have the ability to see clearly. When we have solved this problem, I would like to speak with you, Toda.
Okay. I'll be back. Right now, let me go and join the rest. We'll help you.
Todar lifted the little one known as Psyk to his face and smiled into its small beady eyes.
All of you, Psyk.
Todar ran out into the frost and made his way into the TARDIS. He arrived to see the Doctor and Kisseline already preparing coordinates and planning their break-in to the planet's most secure facility. The Doctor flipped the dematerialization switch as soon as the doors were closed, and in a few short warps from the TARDIS engine, they found themselves in a new location. They exited the TARDIS and walked into a dark, large room filled with tall shelves, filled with boxes and computer banks, all containing millennia worth of information.
Well, this should be easy.
Actually, it will be. This is the most general knowledge store. There's a deeper archive where the most privileged information is kept entirely separate from everything else. We just need to head that way, towards that light.
How do you know so much about this? Knowing anything about a lockdown archive seems like a good way to invalidate its lockdown.
I used to be an elected official. I was stripped of my title 2 decades ago and sent to work at a harvest plant. The reason? I tried to access the restricted archive. This is going to be my victory as much as anyone else's.
I see. For now, let's focus on the task at hand. Tislisk should be joining us shortly.
They walked through the large archive in near silence. As they approached the light and the large door before it, Kisseline began to exude an aura of tension and worry.
I never got the door open. There's too many security systems on it. The alarm was set off and they found me, arrested me, demoted me. I remember what I bypassed before, but I don't know if I can do it again.
Well, let me see what I can do.
The Doctor pulled out his sonic screwdriver and flicked through settings while pointing it at the door. Todar watched in silent amusement while Kisseline watched in utter shock as one by one the locks on the door were successfully deactivated and it was unlocked, swinging open slowly on creaking hinges.
Oh, I love you!
Steady on, we have a mission.
While a sizable room, this section of the archive was much smaller than the general room. Searching for their goal wasn't hard at all, since within even this extremely secure archive was an even more secure cabinet displaying documents through a distorted glass cover.
Interesting. Important enough to display, but secret enough to use a perception filter over the case. And if I'm right... Yes, as I thought. Deadlock sealed. Not even I can break into this. There's one way to get in, but we need to time it just right.
What do you mean?
She's almost here.
They figured out Todar's meaning when they focused and could feel the soft tremors in the ground beneath them growing slowly but steadily. They stood still, rigidly waiting for the moment Tislisk would make a grand entrance. The tremors reached a crescendo, setting off alarms throughout the archive and the rest of the station. As the alarm sounded, Todar took his own cue and slammed his elbow into the case, shattering the lid, making every document inside instantly accessible. He turned in time to see Tislisk standing tall and proud before him, other adults at her side, amongst the army of pupae.
I have brought unknown scientists with me. They have been researching the core, and they have brought their knowledge.
Thanks to Kisseline and Todar's rather exceptional elbow, we've recovered the human records of these times millennia ago. If you'll just give me a moment.
The Doctor took the pile of documents from Todar and began flipping through them at ridiculous speed. Todar laughed at first, thinking it was a bit, until the Doctor reached the last page and stared up, a look of horror on his face.
I think I understand. Of course, it makes sense. A giant planet-wide dome wouldn't have been enough. Of course it wouldn't. The humans altered everything. The rotation, the gravity field. They manufactured this planet into something entirely new. And that's why it's failing.
Our conclusion is the same. The core is not dispensing its energy evenly due to the slow rotation and the constructed gravity. It's disturbing the layers of the planet. The longer this continues, the closer we come to planetary destruction.
Okay, we understand the why. Humans are stupid. But what about the how? Like I said, humans are stupid. If this entire planet was changed for profit, I'm betting that profit will matter more than anything else, even lives and the planet itself. Perhaps. Perhaps not. Frost fruit have never been successfully transplanted to another planet. This appears to be the only one that will foster their growth. And market scarcity is always a popular motivation. They would stand to lose more if they let this happen. Saving a planet for the profit. That sounds typical.
What is this human thing called profit?
An annoying system allowing people to have excess in exchange for giving people their necessities.
How wasteful.
Yes, but we could discuss economy later. Anyway, I believe we have visitors arriving.
Their attention diverted to the entrance to the restricted archives. Across the larger archive, they could see the arrival of humans, their leader dressed in much more regal vestments and kisselines. The rest obviously soldiers, armed and ready to attack the invaders, creature and person alike.
Kelfer, the man who got me stripped of my position. Kill the invaders, imprison the vagrants. Kisseline. Couldn't resist another chance to destroy our culture. You've always been the most exceptionally insufferable thorn on my side. It'd have been better to leave you to the frost than the harvest.
Kelfer, have you read the documents? I've talked to these people.
People! You call mindless animals people now. You always were soft-hearted. Too soft-hearted.
And you, silly human, are too petulant and childish. Your armor doesn't hide your soft cannabis.
Kelfer stepped back, stunned. He had not expected the creature to speak at all, let alone so clearly. Nonetheless, he regained his composure and once again stepped forward with full confidence. An admirable trick, but we saw your children, I presume.
We saw your children attack our people. Pulse across the planet. You are invaders. We will not speak to you. We will not negotiate. Get back in the dirt where you belong. Wait 1 fucking minute, you narcissistic sack of shit. Tislisk here has more dignity than you have in your oversized head. Now you listen, or I'll be more than happy to make you listen. And who are you? Someone who's seen more than you ever have, and fears less than you ever will.
There was tense silence. While he was not afeard of Todar's stance or manner, something in his tone told him to be wary. He nodded condescendingly in the direction of the creature named Tislisk.
Please, listen to me. Our researchers have been studying the changes in the core's temperature. The same changes your partner, Kisleine, was tracking. We both reached the conclusion that the humans' interference with the planet's normal operations is negatively affecting the planet in a structural sense. You must end the Everfrost, or none will survive.
And why should I believe you? Yes, Kisleine, I have read the documents. I read how the species of this planet opposed our operation and halted the good work. I read about how they were driven underground and made to stay there. We expected them to die out, not become worms in the mud beneath our feet.
And yet these worms come to you, not for revenge, but for your salvation. No one benefits from the continued state of things.
You're lying. So you could break us up by killing our crops, reducing our reach, and robbing us of the planet that is rightfully ours. You stole this planet. You have no right to it at all. I don't need reprimands from degenerate wastrels who would betray their own people for an inferior species. Everywhere we go, we find another bigot. Do humans ever get over this? Oh, eventually, I'm sure.
Kelfer, if you won't trust them, then listen to me. I've been plotting the core temperatures and movements for decades now. There is an alarming trend, and it's reaching the point where the planet is experiencing tremors as well as driving the Xylian people closer to the surface. In spite of their inability to handle the cold we've artificially created. This is something we need to address.
You mean as little to me as it does. I will not give in.
I offer an alternative situation then.
In a language too ancient for the TARDIS to translate, Tisselisk clicked and chirped to her children. While she and her scientists stood still, the army of pupae swarmed and buzzed across the room, zeroing in on Kael'thas. The Doctor, Todar, and Kerseline reacted in shock, but found themselves too shocked to intercede in any way. Kael'thas' screams were quickly muffled and subdued by the mass of silly children washing over him. As they swarmed, Todar felt a tickle of something he'd felt before. One of the Xylians parted from the swarm and approached him. It was little Psyk. He crawled up Todar's body and up his neck. Instead of covering his face as before, Psyk wrapped himself loosely around his head. But the effect was still the same. Todar felt memories and information flooding into his mind.
They're feeding him knowledge. They're giving it directly to him. And the memories and fears and dreams of every person one of them found and absorbed knowledge from before. It's how they live. The children are born. They learn from their parents and they learn from each other. They find unity. They find peace. And they share that gift with us now.
The mass of pupae moved away from Kael'thas, some going to their adults, others receding down the fissures they'd sprang from. He, however, stayed motionless on the ground, his physical petrification only broken by the heaving breaths coursing through him. Todar raised a hand to the others, taking it upon himself to approach Kael'thas. Getting down on his knees, he lifted the man's head to meet his gaze as he helped him get upright.
You'll be fine. It's overwhelming at first, but you understand now. You know now. What did they show you?
Everything. I offer my full support. Kerseline saw her moment and took charge as her usurper still only could stare off into an unseen distance. She directed the guards back to the surface and gathered the documents recovered from the archive, so the dismantling of the Everfrost could begin swiftly. The Doctor turned to Tisselisk with a somber smile.
You have untold amounts of bravery, my dear, to stand against such a disagreeable person with such dignity and restraint. Few could do it.
I admit I was overzealous. Only one of my children could have imparted the needed knowledge. Using all of the ones at my disposal was in the hopes he'd become kinder. I may have made him too docile now.
I can fix that easily, but not just yet. I feel like we'll undervalue the peace if we rush into things. What will your people do?
With the Everfrost ended, we can return to the temperate zones on the planet's surface. We will help the humans in what ways we can, and we will forge forward. With kindness, Doctor, not force.
I think you'll do excellent at that.
I thank you. Now please, I must speak with Todar.
I'm here. Doctor, Kael'thas is feeling better now. I think you should stabilize him. Well, it was too good to last. Brave heart, Todar. The Doctor walked away from them, and Todar met Tisselisk's eyes with a probing stare. Psych gave me fragments of memories back. Memories that had been stolen from me, from my mind, from time itself. It should be impossible to get them back.
It appears that the evolutionary path has led us to temporal abilities as well as psychic. Please, Todar, beckon Psyk to me.
He's your son.
He has taken a part of you, Todar. He is yours as much as mine, like a son. Or perhaps like a brother.
Brother. Hey, Psyk. Go to her. Psyk crawled his way from Todar's head, down his arm, and crossed from Todar's hand to Tisselisk's hand. He crawled up her body to her head, where he settled, as he had with Todar. The two chittered in unison while Todar felt the sensation of their psychic communication rippling from them. They broke apart, and Psyk crawled back down Tislisk's body and returned to Todar, snuggling against him affectionately.
He has taught me his new ability, and I am older. I am more skilled, even if I have only just acquired it. Allow me to reach into your mind, Toldar.
It's happened enough times today already. Go ahead.
I will be gentle.
And Tislisk was. Her delicate appendages contacted his temples with soft caressing touches. Rather than a typhoon of sensation entering his mind, this time he felt tepid, calm waves flowing within his mind, feeling pleasant and soothing. Even the doctor's best moments hadn't been as calming as this. Slowly, Todar opened his eyes as he felt Tislisk's hands move from his head. He stared into her eyes, feeling tears form in his own.
I remember everything. All of it. We did do experiments. He was smarter, though. He was better than me. He was discovering new things every day. And then, one day, they appeared. The Time Lords. They said he had to be removed from time for the salvation of the universe. They grabbed him, took him away. Then they went across the train to each family member. And finally, they came back to me and erased everything.
Your mind was torn apart in such horrible ways. I did my best to repair the damage. Some things may still be lost, but I hope your returned memories helped you in your journeys.
Thank you, Tislisk Klierkla, for everything. And thank you, Psykrelian. Psyk chittered and wiggled in Todar's hands. He turned to Tislisk, hoping for a translation.
He wishes to accompany you.
The TARDIS is no place for a child like him. He deserves to grow up with family.
You're right. He does. And that is why he will accompany you, Todar.
Todar raised a finger to counter, but thought better of it. He knew Tislisk was firm in her decisions, and he couldn't stare at Psyk for any length of time without feeling his heart soften. He propped up the little isopod on his shoulder and bowed respectfully to Tislisk. On my honor, I will do my best to raise and protect him. The dome was shattered. The gravity manipulators powered off. The atmosphere seeders cut from the fuel. The changes were not immediate, but noticeable. Snow melted in the temperate regions within hours of completion, and within a day, the Xerlian people began ascending from within the planet's subterrane, once again feeling sun on their carapaces. For the first time in millennia, there was a song being sung, a song of chittering, chirping, and happiness.
Thank you, Doctor. It will be hard enough to change after all these millennia, but I feel peace now. Now, our planet is safe from immediate harm.
And multiple races were saved by our joint actions. This is your victory as much as anyone else's.
I must return to my people. You have your companion. Mine is my people.
Kislein turned and walked into the crowd, rousing them with speeches of bravado. Well, Todar left the crowd, Psyk perched happily on his shoulder. Little Psyk is really coming with us, is he?
I don't think he'll leave the TARDIS much, but he's insistent. I owe a lot to him as well. My entire childhood, weirdly enough.
Well then, welcome aboard. And on that note, I think it's time we took our leave, Todar.
So, another planet saved, eh?
Yes, and now that we have more knowledge at hand, maybe we could try to find your brother.
But we'll still have adventures too, right?
Naturally. It's the way of things when adventure hunts you as much as it does us. They entered the TARDIS, and soon she began to wheeze and groan as she dematerialized, leaving only a memory in her wake. In a distant field, on a distant continent of the planet, 3 people stood in stern observation of the world around them, I think we can safely say the Doctor has been here.
His TARDIS has not activated any of our sensors or alarms, Castellan. We cannot be certain.
The Doctor will have become wise to our interferences. No doubt he's found a way to hide from us. But no one else could cause a place like this, ran by beings like humans, to decide to forego profit and protection to save a planet's life. It makes no change. We'll find him and his companion. There can be no loose ends. Perhaps Somna's time has come to an end. It would make things easier in the long run. We require his mind and ability. But we cannot allow the Daleks to access his developments as they did in the future, as seen by the Matrix. We can still utilize his scientific mind to our own advantage. Do you really believe the Palace of the Schism is safe from the Daleks? That they won't locate and invade it in time? I trust Time Lord Ingenuity. I trust Rassilon. Where are your alliances, Cardinal Politas? With victory, Castellan Fealtis. Do not betray my trust, and I will not betray yours.
Always bickering. I'm rather enjoying the chase. Better than the hordes of the Time War, at any rate.